Comfortable life feels safe, and it is the opposite of safe. It feels like an arrival, and it's actually a slow decline. It feels like you finally made it, and what you've actually done is stop. And the moment a human being stops, something begins to happen to them that they will not notice for years. They begin to shrink quietly, comfortably, without pain, without alarm, without any of the warning signs that hardship would have given them. The comfortable life doesn't hurt. That's exactly what makes it so dangerous. The things that destroy you slowly, rarely hurt while they're doing it. Today, I want to show you 5 ways the comfortable life is working against you right now, even as it feels like it's working for you. None of them are dramatic. All of them are happening quietly. And the thing I want you to understand by the end is that the safety you've been chasing has been the very thing keeping you from becoming who you could have been. I'm hoping that some of the things I share with you today will help you see comfort differently than you've ever seen it. And what you do with that is your business. But I'm telling you, most people never see it at all. They spend their whole lives building a comfortable cage and calling it success. They live comfortable and unfulfilled, never once suspecting that the ease they worked so hard for was the thing that flattened them. You can be different. You can see it clearly. Today, you see, the gap between the person who understands the danger of comfort and the person who doesn't is enormous. One of them keeps growing their whole life. The other one stops growing the day they get comfortable and never starts again. So pay attention. The next half hour might change the shape of the next 30 years of your life, but only if you're willing to accept something uncomfortable about comfort. Because right now, you've been treating ease as the goal. And ease was never the goal. Ease was the trap. Now, before we get into it, you must understand what comfort is actually costing you. Because most people think comfort is free. They think it's the reward you get for all the work, the prize at the end. They don't understand that comfort charges a price, and the price is taken out of the one thing you can never get back. You see, the comfortable version of you is not becoming anything. The uncomfortable version, the one that's being stretched, challenged, pushed past what it thought it could do, that version is growing. The comfortable version is standing still. And standing still in a life that only moves forward is the same as going backward. A human being was built to grow. Not sometimes, always. Every living thing that stops growing begins dying. And the comfortable life is the one environment carefully constructed to make sure you never have to grow again. That's why it feels so good, and that's why it's so dangerous. After 10 years of comfort, you haven't just spent 10 pleasant years. You've spent 10 years not developing the capacities you would have developed if life had kept pushing on you. You're weaker than you would have been, less capable, more afraid of things you used to handle easily. The comfort didn't just fail to grow you, it shrank you. And here's the part that ought to keep you up at night. You didn't feel it happening. There was no pain to warn you. There was no crisis to wake you up. There was just ease, day after day, gently eroding your edge while you sat back and enjoyed it. You see, the cost of comfort isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in the person you didn't become, the strength you didn't build, the courage you let atrophy, the dreams you set down because reaching for them would have disturbed the peace. 10 years of comfort adds up to a smaller person than 10 years of challenge would have produced. And most people never make the connection. They feel the smallness. They feel the vague dissatisfaction underneath their comfortable life. But they don't trace it back to the comfort itself. They think they need more comfort to fix it. So they build the cage a little bigger and a little softer, and they wonder why the feeling won't go away. The feeling won't go away because the feeling is the sound of a person who has stopped growing and knows it somewhere underneath the ease. You must take this seriously because the version of you that keeps growing lives a fundamentally different life than the version that got comfortable and stopped. One of them is still becoming. The other one has already arrived. An arrival for a human being is another word for the end. Today, 5 ways comfort is working against you. All of them fixable. None of them requiring you to blow up your life. Get them right, and you start growing again. And when you start growing again, the vague dissatisfaction underneath your comfortable life begins to lift. The first thing you must understand is that comfort makes you weak. And weakness has a way of hiding until the exact moment you need strength. Because the capacities of a human being are built the same way muscles are built, through resistance, through load, through being pushed to the edge of what you can handle. Remove the resistance and the capacity fades. You see, a muscle that is never used grows weaker every single day. Not because anything is attacking it, simply because it isn't being asked to do anything. The body is efficient. It does not maintain what it doesn't need. And the exact same law governs your courage, your resilience, your ability to handle difficulty. When your life is comfortable, you stop asking those capacities to work. You don't need courage because nothing frightening ever comes near you. You don't need resilience because nothing ever knocks you down. You don't need the ability to handle difficulty because you've arranged your life so that difficulty never arrives. And so quietly, all those capacities fade. Not because you're weak by nature, because you've stopped using the strength you have, and the strength you don't use is the strength you lose. I once knew a man who had built himself a completely comfortable life. Good income, steady and secure. A routine with no rough edges. He had spent 20 years smoothing every hard corner out of his existence, and he was proud of it. He thought he had won. He thought comfort was the trophy. Then life did what life eventually does to everybody. It sent him something hard, a loss he didn't choose and couldn't avoid. And this man, who had once been tough, who had once handled hardship with a kind of quiet strength, this man fell completely apart. He couldn't handle it. Not because the difficulty was so extraordinary. People survive worse every day. He couldn't handle it because he had spent 20 years never handling anything. His capacity to cope had wasted away from disuse, the same way a leg wastes away in a cast. The comfort had made him fragile, and he never saw it happening. That is what comfort does. It doesn't announce itself as a weakening agent. It presents itself as a reward. And all the while, it's removing the very load that kept you strong until the day something heavy arrives and you discover you can no longer carry what you used to carry easily. You must see this clearly. The person who deliberately keeps difficulty in their life, who takes on hard things they don't have to take on, who chooses the load instead of avoiding it, that person stays strong. And when life sends the hardship nobody can avoid, they're ready for it. They've been training for it the whole time without calling it training. Keep some difficulty in your life on purpose, not suffering, difficulty. Something that asks more of you than you'd give if left to your own comfort. A challenge you don't need, a hard thing you choose. Because the strength you build in the difficulty you choose is the strength you'll have when difficulty chooses you. The second thing you have to look at is what comfort does to your appetite for risk. Because the more comfortable you become, the more you have to lose. And the more you have to lose, the less willing you are to reach for anything. And a life in which you never reach for anything is a life that stops expanding. You see, when a person has very little, they'll risk it. because there isn't much to lose. They'll try the bold thing. They'll make the big move. They've got nothing behind them tying them down. But as they accumulate comfort, they accumulate a growing pile of things they're afraid to lose. And that pile starts making their decisions for them. Every bold move now threatens the comfort. Every reach now risks the cushion. And so, slowly, without ever deciding to, they stop reaching. The comfort they built becomes the reason they never build anything bigger. But most people never notice this happening. They think they've just gotten wiser. They think they've matured past the reckless ambitions of their youth. They tell themselves a flattering story about how they've learned to be sensible, when what's actually happened is that comfort made them afraid, and fear dressed itself up as wisdom. The most alive years of a person's life are usually the years before they got comfortable, the years when they were hungry, when they were building, when every day required them to stretch and reach and risk something to get to the next level. Those years feel dangerous in the moment and precious in memory. And then they arrive at comfort, and the reaching stops, and they spend the rest of their lives defending a position instead of advancing on a new one. Defense is a smaller game than offense, and comfort turns everybody into a defender eventually. The person who keeps growing is the person who keeps reaching, even after they have something to lose, especially after they have something to lose. They refuse to let the size of their cushion determine the size of their ambition. You got to keep reaching long after it stops being necessary for survival, because the reaching is what keeps you alive, and the safety you build is only worth anything if you're still using it as a launching point rather than a place to hide. The cushion was supposed to let you take bigger risks, not smaller ones. Most people get it exactly backwards. The third thing you must look at is what comfort does to your standards, because comfort is the enemy of excellence, and it works on you so gently that you'll never catch it in the act. Excellence requires the willingness to be uncomfortable, and comfort's entire purpose is to remove discomfort, which means comfort and excellence cannot coexist for long. You see, doing anything at a high level is uncomfortable. It requires more effort than doing it adequately. It requires standards that hurt to maintain. It requires staying with a thing past the point where good enough would have been easier. Excellence is, by its nature, the harder road every single time. And when you become comfortable, you lose your tolerance for that harder road. You start choosing the easier version of everything, the adequate effort instead of the excellent one, the good enough result instead of the best possible one. Not because you decided to lower your standards, because comfort lowered them for you, one small concession at a time. Each concession is invisible. This one time, good enough is fine. This one project, you'll coast. This one day, you'll phone it in, and no single concession matters. But the concessions add up into a new normal, and the new normal is lower than the old one, and you never notice the descent. I once knew a woman who had once done superb work. Early in her life, before she was comfortable, she was relentless about quality. She would stay with a thing until it was right. She would refuse to release anything that didn't meet her standard. And her work showed it. It was the best. Then she got comfortable, secure, established, no longer needing to prove anything. And her work, over a period of years, quietly declined. Not to bad, just to average, just to good enough. She stopped staying with things until they were right, because staying was uncomfortable, and she no longer had to. The comfort removed the pressure that had produced her best work. Here's what got me. She couldn't see it. She thought she was still doing excellent work because the decline had been so gradual that each new lower standard felt like the same standard she'd always had. Comfort doesn't just lower your output. It lowers your ability to perceive that your output has dropped. That's the cruelest part. You lose your excellence and your ability to notice its loss at the same time. And you go on thinking you're as good as you ever were, while the actual quality of what you produce slides quietly downhill for years. The only defense is to keep something in your life that holds you to a standard you can't comfortably meet. A discipline, a practice, a commitment to doing something at a level that requires you to be uncomfortable. Because the discomfort is what keeps the excellence alive. You must refuse the slow slide into good enough. Comfort will offer it to you every single day, and it will offer it so gently that you'll take it without noticing. Keep at least one thing you refuse to do comfortably. Keep one standard you're willing to suffer for. Because a person with no uncomfortable standards is a person whose excellence is already dying. The fourth thing you have to understand is what comfort does to your relationships, because comfort makes you complacent about people. And complacency is how good relationships quietly rot from the inside. When a relationship becomes comfortable, most people stop working on it. And the moment you stop working on a relationship, it begins to decay. You see, in the early days of any important relationship, you put in effort, you pay attention, you show up, you do the small things that say this person matters to you. The relationship is not yet comfortable, so you tend to it constantly. And the tending is what makes it strong. Then it becomes comfortable, established, assumed, and you stop tending it because it no longer feels like it needs tending. You take the person for granted. You stop paying the same attention. You let the small gestures fade. And the relationship, which felt permanent, begins to hollow out from the neglect that comfort permitted. The person is still there. The relationship still exists on paper. But the aliveness in it, the thing that made it matter, drains away slowly, replaced by a comfortable emptiness that feels like closeness but isn't. Two people sharing a space, no longer really reaching each other. The relationships that stay alive over decades are not the ones that got comfortable. They're the ones where two people refused to stop tending, refused to take each other for granted, kept showing up with effort long after the effort stopped feeling required. The tending is not a phase, it's the whole thing. And most people learn this too late. They let comfort dissolve their most important relationships, and they don't notice until the relationship is a shell. Until the distance is so wide, it can't be crossed easily. Until the person they took for granted has quietly given up on being reached. Comfort tells you the relationship is fine because it's easy. But a relationship that's easy because nobody's putting anything into it is not fine. It's coasting toward empty on the fuel that was put in years ago. And the tank runs out eventually. You got to keep tending the people who matter long after the relationship feels secure, especially after it feels secure. Keep paying attention. Keep making the effort. Keep doing the small things that comfort tells you no longer need doing. Because comfort is willing to let your best relationships rot. And it will do it so slowly that you won't see the rot until it's too far gone. The fifth thing you must confront is the biggest one. And it's the reason comfort is so seductive and so deadly at the same time. Comfort makes you afraid of discomfort. And once you're afraid of discomfort, you'll organize your entire life around avoiding it. And that avoidance becomes the cage you can never escape. The comfort doesn't just make you weak, it makes you afraid of the very thing that would make you strong again. You see, a person who lives with regular discomfort develops a tolerance for it. They know discomfort won't take them out. They know it passes. They know that on the other side of it, they're better than they were before. So they don't fear it. They can walk into hard things without flinching because hard things are familiar territory. But a person who has removed all discomfort from their life loses that tolerance completely. Discomfort becomes foreign, frightening, something to be avoided at any cost. And so, when growth requires discomfort, and growth always requires discomfort. They simply refuse the growth to protect the comfort. The comfortable life makes the discomfort required for improvement feel unbearable. And so the comfortable person stops improving, not because they can't, but because improving would require a level of discomfort they've trained themselves to flee from. This is the trap closing. The more comfortable you become, the more you fear discomfort. The more you fear discomfort, the more you avoid everything that would grow you. The more you avoid growth, the more comfortable and the weaker you become. And the cycle tightens year after year until you can barely tolerate a cold shower, let alone a real challenge. I've watched people become so comfortable that ordinary difficulties felt like emergencies to them. A small inconvenience would ruin their day. A minor challenge would feel overwhelming. They had lost so much tolerance for discomfort that life itself, with all its normal friction, had become a source of constant distress. And they thought the answer was more comfort, more cushion, more insulation from the friction of living, when the actual answer was the opposite. They needed to deliberately reintroduce discomfort in small and increasing doses until their tolerance came back and the world stopped feeling like an attack. Because a person who can tolerate discomfort is free. Free to do the hard thing. Free to have the difficult conversation. Free to pursue the goal that requires suffering along the way. And a person who cannot tolerate discomfort is imprisoned, no matter how comfortable their prison happens to be. The comfortable life takes your freedom and hands you ease in exchange. And most people take the trade without understanding that they've just sold the more valuable thing. You must deliberately keep discomfort in your life to preserve your tolerance for it. Take cold showers, fast sometimes, do hard physical things, have the conversations you'd rather avoid, say yes to challenges that scare you a little. Not to suffer for its own sake, to keep your tolerance for discomfort alive, so that when life demands it, you're still capable of it. Because a high tolerance for discomfort is one of the most valuable things a human being can possess. It's the foundation underneath every other kind of strength. And comfort, left unchecked, will erode it completely until you're a person who can't handle anything, living in a life carefully arranged, so nothing ever asks you to. So here's the inversion you have to make. Most people spend their whole lives trying to increase their comfort. The wise ones learn to keep deliberate discomfort in their lives on purpose forever, because they understand that the discomfort is what keeps them alive and growing and strong. Start with the strength. Ask yourself honestly whether your life still asks anything of you, whether you ever face resistance you didn't have to face. If the answer is no, you found the first leak. Add some load back in. Something hard you choose. Something that keeps your capacities from wasting away in the comfort. Move to the risk. Look at whether you've stopped reaching. Whether the pile of things you're afraid to lose has quietly taken over your decisions. If it has, you've traded ambition for defense. Start reaching again. Make one bold move you don't strictly need to make. Prove to yourself the cushion is a launching point, not a hiding place. Go to the standards. Look honestly at whether comfort has lowered them, whether good enough has crept in where excellence used to live. And remember that you probably can't perceive the drop because comfort lowers your standards and your ability to notice at the same time. Pick one thing and hold it to a standard that hurts. Keep at least one uncomfortable excellence alive. Then tend your relationships. Look at the people you've taken for granted since things got comfortable. The ones you've stopped tending because it stopped feeling necessary. Start tending again. Pay attention again. Do the small things comfort told you had become unnecessary. Refill the tank before it runs empty. And underneath all of it, rebuild your tolerance for discomfort, deliberately, regularly, in small doses that grow over time. Because that tolerance is the foundation everything else is built on, and comfort has been quietly eroding it your whole adult life. Now hear me out. You don't have to give up comfort entirely. You're not being asked to suffer for no reason or to live a hard life on principle. You're being asked to refuse the total comfort that makes a person soft, weak, complacent, and afraid. To keep enough discomfort in your life that you stay sharp, strong, and free. The goal was never to eliminate comfort. The goal is to stop letting comfort eliminate you, to use it without being ruined by it, to rest in it without falling asleep in it, to enjoy the ease you've earned without letting the ease erase the person who earned it. That's the whole reframe. Stop chasing more comfort. Start defending yourself against the comfort you already have. Because comfort was never the reward you thought it was. It was always the test. So here is what I want you to carry with you. The comfortable life you've been working toward your whole life is not the safe harbor you imagined. It's the dangerous water. And the danger is precisely that it doesn't feel dangerous. Comfort makes you weak by removing the load that kept you strong. It kills your ambition by giving you too much to lose. It lowers your standards while hiding the dissent. It rots your relationships through the neglect it permits. And it destroys your tolerance for discomfort, which is the foundation of every freedom you have. All of it happening quietly. All of it happening without pain. All of it disguised as the reward for a life well lived, when it's actually the slow undoing of the person who lived it. The most dangerous thing that can happen to a human being is not hardship. It's comfort with no resistance in it anywhere. I am telling you, this is the truth almost nobody wants to hear. They spend their lives running toward comfort as if it were the finish line. And comfort is not a finish line. It's a slow current that carries you away from everything you are becoming. So gently you mistake the drift for peace. The people who understand this keep growing until the day they die. They keep some difficulty in their lives on purpose. They keep reaching. They keep their standards high enough to hurt. They keep tending the people who matter. And they keep their tolerance for discomfort strong, so they stay free. Pick one place where comfort has gone too far in your life. The one that landed hardest when you heard it. And this week, deliberately reintroduce one small discomfort in that area. Not dramatically, not all at once, just one hard thing you choose in the direction of staying alive. Then add another next month, then another. Over the course of a year, you'll have rebuilt the resistance your comfortable life had been quietly removing. And by the end of that year, you'll be stronger, sharper, more capable, and more free than the comfortable version of you had been in a very long time. The version that was there before comfort softened it. The version that's still in there, waiting for something to ask more of it again. That version is waiting. Not in a softer chair or a bigger cushion. In some deliberate discomfort you've been avoiding because comfort taught you to fear it. You must choose the discomfort, choose the load, choose the challenge, choose to keep growing when comfort is begging you to stop. Because the comfortable life was never going to make you into who you could be. It was always going to keep you exactly where you are. You cannot afford to spend another decade getting more comfortable. Not because comfort is a sin. Because every year of total comfort is a year of quiet shrinking, a year of not becoming, a year the growing version of you was left standing at the door while the comfortable version turned out the lights and settled in. And that quiet shrinking, year after year, adds up to a far smaller life than the one you were built to live. Choose the harder road. The stronger version of you is on the other side of it, has been waiting there the whole time. We'll keep waiting until you get uncomfortable enough to go and find them. Today is a good day to start. So is tomorrow. The only dangerous day is the one where you decide the comfort is good enough and settle in and stop.